Hello students, again now to complete our poem Rabbi Ben Ezra by Robert Browning. So far we have read that Rabbi Ben Ezra, the priest, he is preaching his theory about how our soul attains that highest spiritual position, how we can consummate our earthly life, how the experiences, the learnings, the mistakes, the deeds of our young age can be best utilized in our old age. So, moving forward, thoughts hardly to be packed into a narrow act, fancies that broke through language and escaped. All I could never be, all man ignored in me. This I was worth to God, whose will the picture shaped. Now, in our earlier class, we were reading that Rabbi Ben Ezra was saying that there are 10 peoples who don't conform with my ideas. There are 10 people who dislike what I like. There are some others who are quite similar to me. Means they all like what I like, they all hate what I hate. The idea behind this is that that you cannot go by the yardstick of people. Each and everybody has his own different tastes, has his own different ideas, has his own different thinkings. So based on that you can't judge a person. So again he said that the people, they don't know what I have in my mind. So here he goes. He says, thoughts hardly to be packed into a narrow act. There were thoughts in my mind. There were ideas in my heart. There were aspirations. There were desires. There were those passions with me which I would not have been able to pack in a narrow act. Means to whom I could not turn into an action, to a definite act. कहने का मतलब है कि there were many works which I wanted to do, या which I have planned to do in my mind. ना बहुत से ऐसे विचार, बहुत सी ऐसी चीज़ें थी जिनको करने के बारे में मैंने अपने दिमाग में सोचा था, है ना. बट आई कुड नॉट consummate it. I could not turn it into a visible act. In the previous paragraph, he was also previous stanza. He was also saying the same things, that there are many things which cannot be weighed upon by the world, though, but they all matters. They all value in the making of a man. They all swelled up the man's account. Fancies that broke through language and escaped. He says there were fancies, there were imaginations, there were ideas with me in my mind that broke through language, to whom I have tried to express through language and escaped. But they escaped, means people didn't get them, or I could not consummate them in the mortal form. मैं उनको पूर्ण नहीं कर पाया. वो जो आइडियाज़ थे, वो जो फीलिंग्स थी, आई ट्राई टू एक्सप्रेस देम, बट आई कुड नॉट be able to realize them in the concrete terms. All I could never be, all men ignored in me. And that thing, all which I would have been, I could be, all that I could never be, वो सब चीज़ें जो मैं कभी बन नहीं पाया, all that man ignored me, because I have never expressed them. I was not able to consummate them in a finite form, so man didn't notice them, man didn't realize them, and that's why man means the world outside, they did not realize them. They always ignored in me. This I was worth to God, but to God I was this. The things which were ignored in me by the public, by the world, by the people around me, that me was worth to God. Because now God doesn't need my works. What He needs? He needs this soul of mine. He needs these ideas of mine. He needs this knowledge of mine, whose will the picture shaped. Now here he brings that Christian metaphor of God as a picture, making those pots. God is like a potter who is making the pot on the wheel. आपने देखा होगा कुम्हार जो होता है ना, जो मटके बनाता है ना, वो कैसे मटके बनाता है? That he keeps on moving that व्हील ऑफ हिज, वो अपने उस पहिए को घुमाता रहता है और अपने हाथों से उस गिल्ली मिट्टी को जो है मोल्ड करता है, एक शेप प्रदान करता है, किस रूप में वो उसे देखना चाहता है. सो ही सेज दैट हियर ही इज ब्रिंगिंग दैट एनालॉजी हियर, दैट हुज व्हील द पिक्चर शेप्ड, whose picture is shaped on that wheel by the God. All that which matters to God was shaped by God Himself. भगवान के लिए क्या मैटर कर रहा है? गॉड के लिए क्या मैटर कर रहा है? वट आई थॉट, वट आई बिलीव्ड, वट आई हैव इन माइंड, एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स, फ्रॉम वेयर दे केम? दे केम फ्रॉम गॉड हिमसेल्फ, बिकॉज ही हिमसेल्फ हैज मेड मी. अगेन just continuing that analogy of the picture, I note that potter's wheel, that metaphor, and feel why time spins fast, why passive lies are clay. Now, here he again presents that belief of his in God and his creation. He says, I note the potter's wheel. Note at how that wheel of the potter moves. That metaphor, or that metaphor which I have implied of God as a potter, making man as a picture on his wheel, and feel why time spins fast, and feel why the time, why that wheel of time spins so fast, and we passively lies our clay, and we lie passive like that clay on that picture's wheel. जिस तरह से कुम्हार का जो व्हील होता है, उस पर जो मिट्टी पड़ी होती है, वो कैसी होती है? पेसिव. वो कुछ नहीं कर रही होती है. जो कुछ कर रहा होता है वो कौन कर रहा होता है? द पिक्चर. वो जो कुम्हार होता है वो उसे शेप दे रहा होता है, उसकी तरफ से, उस मिट्टी की तरफ से, उस गिल्ली मिट्टी की तरफ से, या जो वो मटका शेप ले रहा है उसकी तरफ से कोई एफर्ट नहीं होता है. Thou to whom fools propound when the wine makes its round, since life fleets, all is changed, the past gone sees today. Here he is, Robert Browning is putting up the theory of Umar Khayyam, but though he didn't approve that theory, he was in opposition to that theory. So he says, thou to whom fools propound, you. He is addressing to the man to whom the fools have propounded. The fools had proposed this thing, what? That when the mind makes its round, when you are in the moving like a vine in that wheel of time, since life fleets, all it changes. According to that theory of Khayyam, what is there? That since life fleets, life moves very fast, all is change. Everything is changeable in this world. Nothing is permanent. All things are changed. The past gone, sees today. So you can't hold anything of the past. You can't have any control over the past. Siege today. You can just control the day today. So have a control over today's day. Fool, all that is at all lasts ever, past recall. Earth changes, but thy soul and God stand sure. Now he says, why I call him a fool? Whom? Umar Khayyam, who has propounded this theory that the earth is vulnerable, this life is vulnerable, nothing remains permanent. So the idea of this temporariness. He says, fools, all that is at all last ever past recall. He says, all that is at all means whatever thing which was worthy of remaining permanent, that remains forever. You can easily recall the past. You don't need to recall the past. You don't need to remember the past again, because that thing which is to be remained permanent remains permanent. Earth changes. He said, yes, I agree that earth changes. With the passing of the time, earth changes, the earthly objects changes, the concrete things which we have been talking about so far, they also changes. But what remains permanent, or what is to be remained permanent, remains permanent, like the soul and the God. They stand there for sure, forever and ever. What entered into thee, that was, is, and shall be. He says, what entered into thee. We can just think it in two ways. That what entered in thee. So the first thing is the soul which has entered in our body, that essence of life which is there in our body. That thing it was in the past, it is in the present, and shall be, it will be in the future. So what he says, what he is trying to say, that thy soul and the God, these two things will remain permanent. And he is obviously trying to establish our connection towards God, or the connection of our soul towards God. So he says, whatever which has entered, that essence of life or your soul, that was, is, and shall be, that is a permanent thing. Times will runs back or stops. Potter and clay endure. A very apt example. He says that time's wheel, that wheel of that picture, runs back or stops. वो जो व्हील होता है ना, अगर वो घूम रहा होता है, whether it stops or it runs back, है ना. जैसे मान लो हम उसको राइट हैंड डायरेक्शन में घुमा रहे हैं, और मान लो हमने रोक दिया उसको अचानक से, और फिर हमने उसको लेफ्ट हैंड डायरेक्शन में घुमाना शुरू कर दिया. नो मैटर व्हाट हैपन्स, potter and clay endure. The potter means the person who is moving, and here the God who is moving or who is working upon that wheel, and that clay, और जो उस पे मिट्टी पड़ी है, that will endure. That clay, who is that clay? We, the human beings, because we have been made by God. So that clay, that soul of ours, and the potter himself, the God himself, they will endure, they will sustain that flow of time, that moment of time, whether it moves forward, whether it stops, or whether it moves backward. He fixed thee mid this dance of plastic circumstance, this present thou forsooth wouldst fain arrest. He says, he fixed thee mid this dance of plastic circumstances. Plastic circumstances is here used for the flexible nature of plastic. ना, प्लास्टिक को हम किसी भी तरह से मोल्ड कर सकते हैं, उसको किसी भी शेप में ढाल सकते हैं. तो उसी तरह से हमारी जो लाइफ होती है ना, उसके जो डिफरेंट स्टेजेस हम फेस करते हैं, तो वो कराए ही फिक्स्ड दी मिड दिस डांस ऑफ प्लास्टिक सर्कमस्टांसेज. ये जो प्लास्टिक सर्कमस्टांसेज हैं, एवर चेंजिंग डिफरेंट शेप्ड जो सर्कमस्टांसेज हैं, ही फिक्स्ड यू हियर. ही हु गॉड, the God has fixed you here in this changing scenario of circumstances. This present thou forsooth wouldst fain arrest. And you can forsooth, you can take this oath that this present cannot arrest you, because you are for permanent. So he has put you already in a fixed shape of plastic, a fixed plastic circumstances in which the things will keep on changing. So this present cannot arrest you. Machinery just meant to give thy soul its bent, try thee and turn thee forth sufficiently impressed. This is this machinery, whatever machinery is being used at the present. ना, जैसे हम एनालॉजी प्रस्तुत कर रहा है कि जिस तरह से कोई भी मशीनरी हम यूज करते हैं प्लास्टिक को मोल्ड करने के लिए, उस प्लास्टिक के डिफरेंट शेप्स बनाने के लिए, उसी तरह से अभी जो टाइम है, जो सर्कमस्टांसेज हैं जिसमें मैन को गॉड ने पुट किया है, they are just meant to give thy soul its bent. They are just meant to give that bent, give that kind of shape to the soul. Try thee means test thee and turn thee forth. Why? The machinery is for? The machinery is for trying you, for testing you, and for giving you that desired shape which is needed, sufficiently impressed. And to set your soul forth, sufficiently impressed means sufficiently qualified, sufficiently made with that shape, sufficiently cultivated. When your shape will be cultivated in that right amount, in right shape, then it will be set forth for its journey towards the good, to the afterlife. Means again, that Browning's philosophy of afterlife or the permanence of soul is expressed here, that whatever happens, life changes, the world changes, the earth changes, the body of yourself changes, the time changes, the circumstances changes, but what remains permanent is the soul, and the caretaker of the soul means the God. So this is it for the day. Thank you.